New details about the investigation into former National Security Advisor John Bolton are raising questions whether President Trump is using the Justice Department to punish his political enemies. The New York Times reports the investigation into Bolton picked up speed in the Biden administration when intelligence officials collected information suggesting Bolton mishandled classified information while working in the Trump White House. Officials say Bolton sent emails containing sensitive information on an unclassified system, which were then intercepted by one of America's enemies. Vice President J.D. Vance this week denied Trump has an enemies list, saying prosecutions carried out by the administration are based on facts.
No, not at all. I think the president has a view that we should enforce the law, and if people broke the law, then of course they should face some prosecution for doing so. You know, all the people that you named, they're at some level of investigation, but unlike the Biden Department of Justice, what the President of the United States has told his Department of Justice is let the facts and the law drive these decisions. If you do these investigations and it's determined that nobody broke the law, then of course you don't prosecute anybody.
Well, joining me now is former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff and EndPresidentialRevenge.org spokesperson Miles Taylor, and former Justice Department Senior Trial Attorney and Executive Director of Justice Connection, Stacey Young. Welcome to you both. Miles, so when the first Trump administration tried and failed to block the publication of Bolton's memoir, a federal judge said he had, quote, likely jeopardized national security by disclosing classified information. If proven Bolton broke the law, does it matter if the investigation began as retaliation? I mean, is there any comfort hearing Vance imply if you didn't break the law, you won't get prosecuted?
Yeah, I'm not taking a lot of comfort in the vice president's comments. I mean, here's the core of it, Alex, is I don't know the details of the Bolton case, and, you know, little bits are coming out one piece at a time. What I do know is if you watch anyone long enough, anyone, you will find them committing some kind of infraction. And I don't think it's a coincidence at all that the people that this administration has found committing infractions happen to be the president's enemies. I've yet to see anyone who we would consider one of Trump's allies that the Justice Department has prominently gone after. And yet, many of the people that you would presume to be on Donald Trump's enemies list in a matter of months since he came back to office find themselves under federal investigation, myself included.
Yeah. You know, Stacey, to Miles's point there, you have New York Attorney General Letitia James, Senator Adam Schiff, former FBI Chief James Comey. They are all among Trump's perceived enemies who are under investigation by the administration. And Miles, of course. What's your response to these moves, and what are the dangers of Trump weaponizing the government against his enemies?
It's terrifying. What we're seeing is the president of the United States using federal law enforcement apparatuses to seemingly punish his enemies. It's lawless, it's undemocratic, and it chills speech and spreads fear. It really is insane for the president to get involved in investigative or prosecutorial decisions. These are decisions that should be made by the Department of Justice independently and impartially. And the rule of law simply can't survive in any meaningful way if DOJ is weaponized against the president's enemy by the president himself.
And Stacey, you worked at the DOJ for, 18 years, right? Overseeing a division that handles workplace equality, and you left the department when Trump took office in January. You now run Justice Connection. It supports current and former DOJ lawyers that have been targeted by the administration. Are you a stronger advocate for DOJ personnel from outside the agency than inside? And if so, why is that? And what support does Justice Connection provide?
Well, I will say that DOJ's workforce needs support more than it's ever needed support, and it needs support from the outside of the department at the moment. And you know what we're doing is we really are serving a very desperate need. DOJ employees inside the department and some who have left are being targeted by this administration for having done their jobs. We're seeing right now January 6 prosecutors being fired, other prosecutors being fired, FBI agents and national security attorneys being fired, immigration judges, ATF officials being fired. This is a terrifying moment, and Justice Connection has been here to provide DOJ employees with support. We're connecting them to pro bono legal representation when they're fired or demoted. We're connecting them to mental health support because many are experiencing trauma. We're providing them with employment support. We're providing them with free media training and connections to reporters after they leave if they want to speak out. The support we're providing is desperately needed, and we're grateful that we're able to provide it.
Yeah. Miles, as you referenced earlier, Trump accused you of treason in April, signed an executive order directing the DOJ to criminally investigate you, presumably over the book you wrote criticizing him, describing the chaos that you witnessed while working inside the White House there. You've been seriously and continuously threatened by Trump supporters. How has all of this affected you and your family and your work?
Well, look, first I'll say this, Alex. I mean, in the United States of America, criticism is not classified. And 4 months ago, more than 4 months ago, the president leveled these allegations that I'm guilty of treason, and I haven't seen a shred of evidence of it yet. Why? Because he's inverted the justice process. They are trying to find evidence to fit the crime he's accused me of. And I suspect it's taking them a while because that evidence doesn't exist. But they want to find something, Alex, because they're going after Trump's enemies. And just being on that blacklist is completely disruptive to people's lives. And it's one of the things I want to be out there talking about as much as humanly possible, because dozens and dozens and dozens of people are now finding themselves, hundreds of people are finding themselves on Donald Trump's enemies list. And financially, it can wreck your life like it has ours. It puts you under immense legal stress and family stress and personal stress. We've had stalkers violently threaten our family, and professionally, it blew up the business that I started. I ran a consulting firm in Washington, D.C. that dissolved or is in the process of dissolving in the wake of this because my own business partners were worried about being in Trump's crosshairs and no longer wanted to be in business together. And that's just from him signing the order, all right? No investigation has come into the public domain yet. So that blacklist itself is powerful, it is scary, it is un-American.
You know, Trump supporters, Miles, say that his threat to punish political enemies, it shouldn't be taken really seriously. And so far, none of his targets have been either indicted or convicted, certainly. Should some administration actions against Trump critics be taken more seriously than others?
Well, I think it remains to be seen. What we are, I think, certain of, Alex, is that somewhere here, some of these folks are going to be charged because Donald Trump is under immense pressure from his base to follow through on his own words, to go lock them up. And I think he is hell-bent on that. He wants to see people in handcuffs, not just their homes raided. He wants to try to lock them up. But we are also very likely to see people that the president prosecutes prevail on the idea of vindictive prosecution. I mean, Donald Trump is his own worst enemy in this regard. He spent so many years and so much time papering the record with his disdain for his enemies that if any of them end up being charged or prosecuted, they're going to have a damn strong case that this is selective and vindictive prosecution. And hopefully the Article 3 courts do their job.
Last word to you on this, Stacey. What concerns you about what Miles is describing?
Rule of law requires impartiality. It requires that nobody, the president, federal agencies, the Justice Department, go after people because they're enemies. DOJ has been very careful about this for decades. Since Watergate, it's had procedural safeguards in place to protect law enforcement decisions from partisans or other inappropriate influences, whether those influences are real or if they're perceived. And this administration is running roughshod over those. This is a terrible path we're on. And you're right, we haven't seen indictments yet. We haven't seen prosecutions yet, but we're only 7 months into the administration. And so far, most of the people who have been targeted have been high profile. That may not always be the case. We should all be terrified about what's going on right now. And we simply just don't know where this is going.
Okay. Stacey Young, Miles Taylor, thank you both so much. Appreciate you.